I like complicated games, I like big dungeon crawlery games, but I also don't have a lot of time, I don't have a gigantic table, so I love stuff that has all of those elements, especially cool miniatures, some dice rolling, some fighting, some exploring, but that I can set up and can just play for a little while and then put away. I am taking a look at Crypt Hunters. It's a Warhammer game. Don't let that scare you off, because normally that would scare me off too. It has pretty much everything I like, which is some cool miniatures, some map tiles, some bad guys, some dice rolling, some cards. I love all these little hex tiles right here. And of course you've got your fighting Sigmar guys here and their dog. I guess it's a griffin, not a dog, but I'm gonna call it the dog. So you get 4 of these dudes, 3 dudes and a dog, and then you get a whole bunch of these fairly cool, they're not ring wraiths, they're not specters, they are chain rasps. Ooh, spooky. They're pretty cool because the other fairly basic Warhammer tabletop board game that I've played is the Space Marine Adventures one, and there the enemies are just tokens. Here you at least get these chain rasp figures that are not as detailed. They're basically just 2 little front and back parts that snap together as the full-blown guys, but really good table presence, and I like that you get a bunch of them in a whole bunch of different poses. Here's their boss, the Dread Warden. So if there's enough bad guys on the board, you get to spawn this guy, and the bad guys get an extra activation. Here's the dice. Look at that, right in that little ray of sunshine. Very handy. So when you roll these, lightning bolt means you hit as the protagonist. Skull means that the bad guys hit. Blank is everybody misses. Sorry. And of course you get some wound tokens and a few other tokens. And a handful of cards. Not that many cards, really. A couple of reminder cards. Here's our main characters. Oris, Astrid, Eric, and Valiant the doggy. Dice. A couple of character cards for the bad guys. You don't really need those. Here's some bad guy ability cards. Here's some hero ability cards. And of course, all of these tiles. I need to pull out the MacGuffin, which I'm reliably told is a Haitian Illuminator tile. Ooh. I also need an entrance tile, and there's a stairwell if you want to combine, do a campaign where you go from level to level, and there's also like a winch. These purple tiles mean that your move comes to an end, even if you have an extra movement point left. These red tiles with spikes are a trap, you have to roll for damage. And the green tiles, these are basically monster spawn points, so if you have a guy standing on them, then the monster won't spawn. Here's the Illuminator. Here's our starting tile. There's the stairs. We're not going to need those. I'm just going to put that one back. Awkward. Oh, and the winch. There's the winch. So you need to find MacGuffin A, the winch, before you can get to MacGuffin B, which is the Illuminator. So shuffle all the tiles. You're supposed to take the Illuminator and make that the last tile. I find that a little predictable because I always know where it is. I like to take the last handful of tiles and shuffle it in with that. So then it's somewhere near the end. I'm gonna put all these guys over here, and this map moves a lot, so it's actually not always great for small tables, but the map is also disappearing behind you as you go, so you can eliminate parts of it and just kind of gently push it here, because unlike a normal human being who would have a rational gaming table, I just have these big planks of reclaimed wood. So everybody starts off here. It's a little crowded on the starting tile. But that'll never happen again, because after this point, you can only fit 2 guys on a tile at once, 2 good guys at least. And you can have another player take on the role of the chain rasps and do their moves for them. But frankly, this is very easy to solo. I've already house ruled where the Illuminator tile goes. It's a very simple activation for the enemies, and you can just do it yourself. They're almost AI driven. So the first thing that we do is we add tiles. So I'm going to flip over each tile one at a time, and you want to keep going until you lose line of sight. So this is a Y-shaped tile, so we lose a direct line of sight there. Oh, we also lose line of sight there. That's a curved tile or an angled tile. Oh, this one goes straight, and it's like a death trap, so I don't think I'm going to be going that way. We keep going. Okay, that's where we lose line of sight there. Same thing here. right here. That's a tight turn right there. Oh, look at that. Okay, so we have not gone very far. We can't see very far into this dungeon. It's pretty complex, lots of twists and turns. The Stormcast Eternals get to go first, and each one of them has a certain number of moves they can make. If you generally keep these guys spread out, you're going to lose track of them very quickly, and they won't be able to see each other, and then they'll lose line of sight, and then you'll never get them back together. You can explore like 2 corridors at once. That's really about it. This corridor doesn't go anywhere because there's just no way to place it so that it won't dead end after we put that one down, so that's a no-go. We can go this way, this way. Based on the fact that enemies spawn where there's an open corridor, I'm gonna send guys this way and this way just to see what happens. I already know that means I'm gonna have to move my whole map back a little bit. I'm just preparing for the expansion of the dungeon. Okay, so now we remove tiles. So if there's any tiles we don't have line of sight to from either where we are or one space away, that's obviously not the case. We're gonna bring out some reinforcements. So here's a corridor that goes off into the darkness. That one doesn't, this one does, this one does. So we have 3 enemies on here, and now they get their activation. Frankly, they're all gonna, well, these guys are gonna move, and then for the 3rd activation, since they're ghosts, they can attack through walls. And get our little handy dice tower over here, and we just have 1 attack happening. Gonna roll 1, lightning bolt, they missed. So now we get to add more tiles. Stay there, guys. All right, so let's add some line of sight tiles for our heroes. We can go right here. Ooh, another death trap, and that continues on. And, oh, a monster spawn, and that continues on, and then we get to a really sharp turn. And then if we go this way, now no matter what, that's gonna block this guy, but that's all right. That's the end of that one. This one goes to a dead end. We got 1 more. Oh, a straightaway. And a sharp turn. So which way do we go? And these, I don't have line of sight to where these guys go, so I'm not gonna add any tiles to them. I'm gonna say we all just hustle up and go this way, frankly. So, but then we gotta roll a die when we step onto this spiky bit. Maybe we'll clear out some enemies first. I wanna move this way, and I wanna place a guy here to basically hold that spot. In fact, I'll take the dog, and we're gonna move the dog. I'll take Valiant, and we're gonna move. Oh, he can't go directly there, can he? Okay. Let's do some fighting first. Let's see, Eric Hodscorn. He gets an attack of 2, and there's 2 bad guys right there. So let's say his first move is gonna be to attack. Oh! Missed both times. That's not great. You know what? Let's do it again. There we go. So boom, boom, those 2 guys are gone. He's used up his 2 moves, but we can start moving everybody else out. So I'm gonna say 1 move, 1, well, I can't do that yet, can I? I'm gonna say he gets 2 moves, so that's 2, and then he moves on to the spike traps. We have to roll a die. Blank, that's great. And for his second part of his move, because he gets 2 per, so 1, 2, 1, 2, he's going to stand here, and that is going to stop an enemy from spawning there. This guy can't really do anything that useful. He's going to have to cross the spiky pit, the trap at some point. We're going to go, let's go 1 here, and let's knock this guy out. So this is Oris, and he's got an attack of 2. Oh, okay, good. He got 1 hit. These guys just take 1 hit. And then our friend here, he's gonna go here. Have to roll 1 die. Good. And then boom. That is the end of our activation. Now we get to remove tiles, which I think is really the most clever thing here. So from where we are, we have line of sight this way, we have line of sight this way, line of sight here and here. If we move 1 spot, nope. I'm gonna say we don't get to remove any tiles because from where these heroes are, or by moving 1 tile, they have line of sight to everything here. Now, if I had, let's say, a tile here, I would take that away. Now we get more chain rasp reinforcements, and there's a bunch now because we have a bunch of open-ended corridors. And of course, these guys, when they're further away, can just glide towards you. So if they were to make their 3 moves, this one's an attack right here. Nope, missed. This one is going to be a glide. This one will be a glide. So that's 3 moves. There's not really, you know what? That's an attack right there. Oh, blank. Really lucking out today. Because frankly, these guys don't have a ton of HP. 2 wounds, 2 wounds, 3 wounds, 1 wound. And then we would go ahead and add more tiles. We don't have anywhere to add tiles right now because everyone's landlocked. Well, I think that's probably about as far as I'm going to go right now, but I have enjoyed knocking out a 20-25 minute session with this, just kind of rolling and fighting. You want to really keep moving here. You don't want to get bogged down fighting off each one of these guys, because if you can leave them in the dust, let's say we're all up here, then things that we are out of line of sight with, so let's say here, then all these would disappear and these guys would be gone. Of course, I'm sure they'll respawn right away somewhere else, but that's how you keep from getting overwhelmed. This is not the most complicated dungeon crawler ever. It's also not the dead simplest, but it's pretty close to that end of it. Very casual. I love that it has all these map tiles and the dungeon comes out different every time. And I like that there's a little bit of variety to the heroes. You have to strategically choose who you're going to use, who you're going to sacrifice. I'm going to give you a hint, it's usually the dog that gets it. And then some people will love this, some people will hate it, but frankly, it comes down to luck in that you just may never find the MacGuffin number 1 and MacGuffin number 2 in time, or you may be, if you split up your troops, you may be cut off from each other, and if you have to discard some of the tiles because you don't have line of sight to them, and you have a chasm between these guys and these guys, well then you have to pick one side and they're just lost in the tombs forever. So there's a way you could do everything right and still not win. I don't mind that because it's not a very long game. I know it'll drive some people crazy. Because I enjoyed this and because I enjoyed Space Marine Adventures, I did go ahead and pre-order the Cursed City set from Games Workshop. That is a much bigger dungeon crawler game that will take up a lot more table space and have a lot more characters and is much more of a traditional dungeon crawler. And of course, my only other letdown, besides the fact that it is late in the afternoon and this gigantic sunbeam is just hitting me right here, my only other letdown is that I can't really think of too much I would make to accessorize this game. I love making stuff on a 3D printer, on a laser cutter. The insert that comes with it is actually pretty useful, so I don't think I could improve on that. I did use one of my laser cut card holders. This is my sort of minimalist Danish style mid-century modern made of stained and polyed 3mm birch, and I'm working on a version now that stacks on top of each other, so you can, you know, have 2 upon 2 upon 2. But for this game, there's only 2 decks of cards, which you really barely use, so I'm not going to worry about that. Thanks for checking out a little bit of Crypt Hunters. I'm going to wrap it up before the sun goes from here all the way down to here.